Okay, welcome to this week's meditation. The camera should be looking at me right now. Let me just try and fix that. Oh well. For those of you out
You
on the
could try
live stream,
responding.
it's just streaming what I can see instead of the stream camera. Anyway, I want to dive straight into something great while you're all here. I've decided to call today's session Purifying Our Consciousness. And I want to dive straight into it. That I've met so many people who do meditation practice, and they think of it as something that can just kind of calm down their worries or soothe their mind. And today I actually want to present something radically different. And when we practice meditation or mindfulness, we are watching our minds. And we have the ability to generate peace or to create calm. We have the ability to watch what our mind is doing and redirect our focus. And I was working with Marliese this week in meditations, and some of you know her as Amazer here in VR. And we had this epiphany moment that I had to share with all of you. I pointed out to her that mindful consciousness is this pure state of just freedom. So when you're mindful and you notice what's going on around you or notice what's going on inside of you, some people can be like, oh, I'm stressing out a little bit and I'll calm it down. But I proposed to her that actually, if you envisage that when you're aware of your consciousness and then you focus on being conscious, this present moment, this breath, then any external or internal stimulus can't impact your consciousness. Now, I want everyone to think about whether when you meditate, do you step into that place of total freedom, or do you imagine it as like, I'm going to calm the mind down? And yes, when we first start meditating, maybe there's the process of calming, but I hope that each of you envisages or notices those moments of peace and becomes more and more acquainted with the mind of pure peace, purifying your consciousness to just be able to be present. And then if there's something intense going on around you, rather than like calming yourself to be able to deal with it, I invite you to be able to find inner peace and strength. Or if you've got something that's stressing you out in your thoughts, to also just bring your focus into stillness. Solarpunk, you have a question or a comment?
Yes. Would you call peacefulness the same as mindful equanimity?
I mean, there's subtle connotations that are different to each one. You can be peaceful without being mindful. Can you be mindful and have equanimity and not be peaceful? I think you could have mindful equanimity while also choosing to be doing a hysterical laughter meditation, or choosing to be on stage and doing something epically powerful. I think it's up to you to decide if you're choosing high energy or choosing hilariousness, would that also be peace? So yeah, I think mindful is awareness. Equanimity is the foundation of unshakable stillness within you. Peacefulness, when I think of that,
Indeed.
is a sense of calm, but it depends how you define peacefulness.
Yeah, sometimes I find it just very powerful to have that equanimity and mindfulness where I know I'm in control. I'm not being persuaded by anger or emotions or whatever.
Yeah, I think that the ability that humans have to shift their focus, and if they really choose to shift it to basically anything, it's a superpower that we need to keep reminding each other of, to be able to tap into this empowered sense of self in every moment. Happiness, peace, strength, or whatever would benefit you in each moment. So I want to spend more of today looking at that epiphany of the no external stimuli or internal stimuli can actually impact your consciousness. And being able to tap into just being conscious is so liberating. I also wanted to share another little epiphany I've had during the week. I was teaching someone to ride a bike, and they were good enough to ride steadily, but for some reason they wanted to ride very slowly because they thought that was safer. And I don't know if anyone's tried to ride a bike very safely, very slowly, but actually the sense of balance gets lost as you slow down. There's something about momentum that makes riding a bike so much easier. And I was thinking about it after the cycling lesson, how this reminds me of meditation practice. If you're meditating once a week, it's pretty easy to wobble on the bike. But if you're meditating twice a day and you really get that momentum, then the mind just has that same balance as a bike with speed. And as I was contemplating that, I was thinking about this community. Those of you who are here now, those on the Discord, people who watch the video at some time, I was thinking of all the stories that we've shared over the last year of people who found happiness for the first time in their life, or people who were anxious all the time and they've learned to be calm. Or, I mean, if you remember conversations we've had or look through our Discord, you see so many people where meditation has profoundly changed their life. And I just wanted to think of all those stories at the same time of thinking as like riding a bike and getting that momentum, meditating a lot to really have the mind trained and be awesome. So that's our topics for today. I'll just give everybody a moment to think about it, see if you have anything you'd like to share or ask, while I just try and fix the camera again. Here we go. Hey, there we go. Hi, everybody. I think maybe I chose photo camera instead of stream camera. My mistake. All right, let me also check on the live stream. Lemon Wire, thanks for the timestamps.
Oh yeah, I do that all the time.
And Share, you wrote, you find it possible to be at peace with one's actions, regardless of the situation. Beautiful. Thanks for sharing. And then, one's hardest lesson is often to learn forgiveness for themselves. So, Lemon Wire, I would love to address that later in the session. I want to focus on the momentum of meditation and the being able to step into that freedom from internal and external things. So let's do that first. Hi everybody, welcome to the session. Lars, if you would like to grab a cushion, that'd be great. Thank you.
Take a seat, Lars, my friend.
All you have to do is point to the cushion and excellent. All right. So for those of you who just joined us, are any of you regulars here? All right, great.
I'm new.
Cool, welcome.
Same here.
So I was just saying to everybody that we have the ability to really transform our minds and our feelings. You could start hanging out with different people, and if they're fun people, you'll find yourself having more fun. If they're people who are poetic, you'll probably find yourself feeling more poetic. If they're people who meditate a lot, you'll find yourself feeling more meditative. I don't want any of this to just sound like theory. Can everybody remember sometime in your life you hung out with some people and then you kind of started feeling like that group, and then you hung out with some other group and started feeling like that?
Oh, yeah.
Can everybody relate to that?
Yeah, I strongly feel that the 5 people that you spend the time with the most, that's kind of that's a big part of your own personality too.
Mm-hmm. And if some of you haven't noticed that, I invite you to notice it. Look at the different chapters of your life and see how who you are, it changes. And not only by who we hang out with, but the kinds of films we watch or the books we read or the things we think about a lot. That shapes who we are, how we feel, how we are in each moment. Now again, I don't want this to just be some observation or some theory. I want you to think about how this could be awesome for you. If you were to practice being the best you or the happiest you or whatever you would choose, who would you want to be?
I think a
So
lot
for
of
the-
people would want that to be themselves someday.
Could you say that again, Lemonwire?
I think a lot of people would want that to become themselves someday. Someone who is so trained to effortlessly go about their day as they willed it.
Beautiful. All right,
Yes,
so Lemonwire
That
kind
and,
of...
when I think about the arahants in Thailand, the supposed monks who have become enlightened, or the 1,000 plus, I'm always amazed at the concept of that one power they have, aside from the other superpowers people believe they have, but just the power of mindfulness by itself, to actually be in control of yourself and not be influenced by all the things that would otherwise hijack your mind. It's a very fascinating concept.
Beautiful.
Power.
So Solarpunk and Lemonwire just made a really good point. To those of you who just arrived, I was talking about making yourself happier or laughing more or being stronger. And then they gave us this different perspective of what would it be like in every moment to just notice who you are, what's going on, and then be free to choose all the time. So I'm going to focus on that concept. I'm going to guide a short meditation just to show you all what you can do with your consciousness. So if you've never meditated before, I invite you to just to think of this as like a mental exercise, watching your concentration and learning how to steer your mind better. So I invite everybody to get comfortable. Maybe pull your shoulders back and sit up straight just to energize the mind. Lars, I'm getting some feedback. Maybe you could mute yourself when you're not talking. Awesome, thank you. All right, so
Oh yeah.
great. So I invite everybody just to sit up straight and close your eyes. And then what did your mind do in the last 5 seconds? Notice that you're noticing what you did. Were you thinking? Were you asking yourself what's going on? Was your imagination doing things? So I'll be quiet again and then just notice your mind. And then I invite you to take a really intentional breath, a slow, deep breath, and really feel it. and notice that for that breath, your attention was in the breath. Then I invite you to notice your posture. What does it feel like if you're sitting on a seat or a cushion, or perhaps you're standing? You can feel the feet on the ground. Then notice your balance and your spine. Maybe notice what it feels like to take some deep breaths. And if you've just joined us for the meditation, I just invite you to close your eyes. Just another couple of minutes of watching our mind, learning to master our mind, master our feelings, master ourselves. So you could notice that at first I said just see what your mind's doing. And then we took our attention into our breath. Then we took our attention into feeling our body. Imagine if in every moment you just always knew where you're putting your attention. And so you can notice that things around you, or even thoughts popping up in your own head, they're separate from your attention. You can put your attention onto anything. So pay attention to that, your attention, that you can choose where to put it. And feel that it's this peace, it's this freedom. It's an unshakable stillness within you. And as you hold your attention on it, feel yourself becoming empowered and free, that you can always, any moment, feel that part of you that is pure consciousness. And for the next part, you might like to meditate on it and feel it really deeply. Or maybe you can stop meditating and just start thinking creatively. If you were always aware of your consciousness, what would your attitude be like? In different situations, your attitude towards yourself and how you respond to things and how you react to things. If you thought first, I am this pure, free consciousness. When difficult things happened, you didn't even think of them as difficult and trying to find a way to deal with it. You just felt, I am empowered. I'm easy. I can just choose what to do. Imagine what your mindset would be like, what your attitude would be like, how you'd think as you cultivate this empowered, pure consciousness. And we'll finish with just 10 intentional breaths. Every moment of the breath, just hold your attention there and watch yourself guiding the attention. Watch your attention and imagine mastering that attention just beautifully being at peace in each moment of the breath. Maybe let yourself feel it more. Deep inner stillness. That's your core, it's who you are. And then when you're ready, you can come out of the meditation. If you're deep in stillness, you take a minute or so. If your mind's already ready, you can start to think about what did you just learn, or how could you keep practicing that in each moment. And if anyone would like to share anything from the meditation or ask anything, please do.
I have a question.
Please.
Do everyone follow Buddhist words about meditation
You mean
in the
here
world?
in this group?
No, in the world we live now. Do everyone follow the ideas, the mindset they have, the Buddhist monks?
That would be
Well,
nice.
I guess it really
We
depends.
could learn from that teaching they have, the Buddhist monks.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can see this temple here was inspired by Buddhism, so I
Yeah.
think a lot of people here do really value it.
It would be wonderful if there was a real one in America, a Buddhist temple like that.
There are multiple Buddhist temples, actually.
That's good.
Whereabouts in the world are you, Ferhat?
Denmark?
Are there any nice temples that you've discovered in Denmark?
I don't know. Only what I believe in, there is a temple. That's a Moscow place where Muslim are there. Muslim places.
Okay. Well, you're always welcome here. We have many classes a week and a sense of community.
That's good.
And I also encourage you to explore different places in your community. Maybe there are...
Yeah. Because my idol is Buddha himself. Yeah.
Well,
I think it's so valuable what he's saying, though. I think the point that he's mentioning it here is that we don't even need to be connected physically. It's just like as long as you have internet, you could be here and then, you know, learn from the temple. Whereas I guess he wishes for people that even had no internet to also have that.
Yes.
So Farhat, we start these sessions and end these sessions with an intention setting and a dedication. And
Yeah.
my intention with these sessions is always that we could create a world where everybody is living in a purely mindful, empowered, compassionate, loving way. And I hope
That's very good.
I hope that every one of us, every day, imagines a world that is that beautiful, and that inspires how you talk and how you think and how you live, so that you can be that person and that you can make it easier for other people to be that person.
Yeah. I hope good luck for you in the future.
You too. Welcome to the community.
Thanks.
You can see, you said that Buddha is your hero. You can see that we have a Buddha at the back of the temple.
Yeah.
And let me just adjust our camera here. So we have a ritual here that when we leave and when we enter, we bow to the Buddha. And there are people here who are not Buddhists. I don't know if I'd call myself a Buddhist. But we still have this exercise that we do. And for some people, they think of the person of the Buddha. And
I have another question if you want to hear it.
can I finish what I was saying, and then I'd love to hear your question?
Yeah, you can do that.
Excellent. So for some people, as they're leaving, they think of the person of the Buddha, and they are thankful, or they think of his life and his teachings, and they aspire to be him. For some people, they think of all of the Buddhas throughout history and are grateful or inspired by them. For some people, they imagine a world where everybody is living an enlightened life, and they connect with that within themselves. For some people, they think of an enlightened mind in this moment, and as they bow to it, they cultivate that in themselves. So I invite you, every time you come in or out of the temple, that, you said the Buddha's your hero. I'm certain the Buddha would want you to find that Buddha within yourself and to spend time with that and let that part of you shine. You said you had another question?
Yeah, if you feel you're a Buddhist and you know the teaching, then you are a Buddhist. If you feel that and know the teachings.
Yeah, the reason I said I don't really know if I am is because there's so many lineages of Buddhism, and some of them I didn't agree with. If I found one that I completely agreed with, I would probably be a monk. And there are also so many other cultures in the world and so many wonderful teachings. I like to think of myself centrally as a human. For many years, I called myself many religions all at once because I was practicing all of them. Now, I don't know if I want any of those labels.
Okay.
But here I am in a Buddhist temple talking about the wonderful teachings of the Buddha. So take from that as you wish. But many weeks, I won't even mention Buddha or Buddhism. I'm just talking about mindfulness and good living. So I think goodness should be for everybody, and we should try to present it in ways that are
Correct.
for everyone, no matter what people believe. Goodness must prevail.
Yeah. We still need to work together. If we don't work together in this world, there will be no hope for us.
Very well said.
That and the wise man fears only heedlessness.
Fears. Could you translate that for us?
When the Buddha is defining skillful states and unskillful states, he spoke about the inherent dangers or problems of going against the basic precepts of a harmonious life, such as abstaining from murdering or cheating or lying or stealing or taking substances that mess with the first four. So a mindful person doesn't, who is following those teachings, they abstain from those particular activities. That way they become more of a refuge to people and animals around them. So when the Buddha said the wise man fears only heedlessness, heedlessness is not being mindful. It's not that state of equanimity or boundless friendliness. It's just doing letting anger or even positive things control you and hijack you. So thus, that really is the only thing for a wise person to fear. Not that I think a wise person has to fear too much, considering they get into the habit of being mindful and being skillful. So it's not an issue. As the Buddha did describe the 5 precepts as sort of like the training wheels, or his version, whatever the I guess the Pali term was for a training method that you get better and better
the Pali
at
term
until
for
it's just
training
instinct.
wheels. Great.
Yes. So,
it's funny
Yeah.
you said. Well, what did you say? Which kind of person fears only heedlessness?
the wise man
wise
fears
person.
only heedlessness.
And when I think about unskillful states of, like, when people worry or stress, it's not just fear. Like, really, the only thing to worry about, the only concern is when you are being unskillful with the mind. And if you will ever see any of those other states and think like, whoa, actually my reaction is that I really want to be mindful right now. Like, any of those states is just a springboard back into more mindfulness. You can really craft a state of mind or attitudes that serve you in the practice.
And that's one thing I look forward to, Neo, is being able to become so mindful with that I can take my equanimity and then suddenly springboard from that into that wonderful boundless friendliness that you seem to have already mastered at any moment of the day.
I've just noticed there's a lot of people talking on the chat. So Jiggle has said there's not one Buddhist monk, there was one Buddha, but different interpretations of his work. Then lists some of the larger traditions. If you're looking for authentic Buddhist teachings, it's one of those traditions. Well, I think each one would say they are teaching authentically. One thing I've found, having spent time in a lot of traditions, is that each one has their strengths, and each one claims to be authentic. You can look at who was closer to who historically, but even then I don't care. For me, it's which of the teachings are more helpful. And then, Jiggle, you mentioned in emptiness, all of that does not matter. I would love to hear you describe what that means to you in emptiness and what doesn't matter. And Michael, great to see you here. I'm not sure what you said amen to. Sorry, the live chat only shows up when I open it. But happy to hear you celebrating. All right, so I wanted to just reiterate my opening remarks that a mindful mind, or the moments that you're mindful, that nothing around you can affect how you feel. And I don't want this to be an idea. I want to say this because I want you to grow that in your brain, to grow that in your attitudes, into your feelings. Now, can everybody remember some moment where there was something intense going on, but you had peace instead? Or maybe some movie where there was some person who was able to be like tranquil in amongst a war, or maybe someone you know who's got this centeredness no matter what's happening. I see some nods. I hope the rest of you will remember that. Moments where you've seen it. And I really am inviting you to think of yourself as always having this sense of empowerment. No matter what's happening, your awareness comes first. Like we were just saying, if you're reacting to stuff, you jump out of that. What's more important is being mindful. If there's something scary, being not mindful is even more scary, because that's where the fear comes from. Actually, I'd rather not pose it as a negative, double negative. I want to pose it as it's so empowering that you get to choose not just where your attention goes, but what the attention feels like. You get to choose in each moment how you're going to be. And I'm saying this again and again because I'm inviting your mind to envisage it, to think of yourself like that, to practice it. If you're going to cultivate that kind of consciousness, you need to envisage what it's like and feel what it's like and think of yourself as that kind of person. And then start to practice. Oh, in that kind of situation, I could be reacting like this, but I'm going to react like this. And the more you envisage that, the more awesome that becomes. And, sometimes in meditation classes, people are like, oh, I'll be able to calm down and I'll be okay. What I'm trying to put out there now is this idea that you are completely empowered. There's no battle between, oh, how much will I react and I'll calm down. First and foremost, I am mindful and I am conscious. Now I want everyone just to notice as I'm saying this, some of you are practicing it, saying it to yourself. Some of you are thinking of the idea and practicing it a little bit. Some of you may be hearing the idea and thinking, well, that's far away from where I am. But every one of those things is also just a mental action. So I'm inviting every one of you to consciously practice that you are pure consciousness. No matter what happens outside, you're aware of how you feel. You're choosing how you feel. You're aware of what role you're playing. You're choosing what role you're playing. Not just no matter what happens outside. Whatever thoughts come to mind, whatever feelings come to mind, your consciousness is more powerful. I hope that you get to the point where you've been practicing mindfulness so much that every one of your thoughts and emotions and reactions is awesome. It's just your whole self's been trained in that direction. But even before then, no matter what pops up in your mind, you just stay centered. Just like a bird flying past, an emotion flies past, your centered self is awesome. Now, I'd love to see on the live chat and people here, as I say that, if you're like, yes, I can imagine it, and I'm also imagining myself to be like that, I want to see you put your hands up. If you can kind of imagine it, and you're sort of imagining yourself, if you can really imagine it, but you're not imagining yourself as that, you can put your hand halfway. And if I've lost you, you can put your hands down. So can I just sort of see Solar Punk? Yes. Hey, Lemon, why you got no arms? VR Dead Sec. So is it that you can really imagine it, but you're not yet imagining yourself as it? Or it's kind of a bit of half-half?
Half.
Cool.
I think for a lot of people it would be half. but I feel I understand completely what you're saying. Just how, I guess, bringing it back to your um, take on how when you view the heroes in movies, or I guess that's how I was taking it, what you were saying, but usually it's the heroes in movies, like the protagonist who has that realization of what's going on, and it's up to them to, I guess, change the world for the better, usually. And I think it is a heroic act to constantly be thinking that way. And I feel a lot of more people should strive for it and feel that it's attainable.
Mm-hmm.
I have some thoughts on speaking of the heroics, actually, of that mindfulness. It's interesting that the Buddha described meditation itself, mindfulness of breath meditation, as making good merit, good karma. And after everyone was done with a session of meditation, they'd do the pouring of the water with some chanting to finish it off, and then they'd go outside and they'd pour the water on the bushes while releasing good merit to the spirit world, because some Buddhists believe that you cannot give merit or good karma to other living beings, but you can give merit and karma to pretas, which are the sort of tortured spirits who are in between our world and who can actually benefit from that sort of energy. So you give your energy to help those beings find a better rebirth as well, because you've just made so much good energy after each meditation. So it is a heroic act, interestingly enough.
Whenever I hear spiritual stories, I like to think, for someone who isn't spiritual at all, how could I translate that um, into something useful? And one thing that I definitely think of as I hear what you were just saying is, energy is this elusive thing. Who knows really what it means? But there is one practical way of thinking about that. If I've done a meditation and then afterwards I am feeling amazing, as I walk around, it's quite probable that I will make other people feel calmed, soothed, and loved without even trying. So, this energy that people are giving to the universe, they'll actually will be giving to the people around them. And they might not even know where it's going or who it's impacting, but it does. It goes out into everything around them.
I feel this touches well on what I said earlier, I guess, regarding forgiveness in the chat. Whereas, I guess, a lot of my personal story too, in coming to this realization with you, that awareness could be viewed as a heroic act. A lot of that has to do with just me growing up knowing that my mother was getting sick with schizophrenia onset after about 29 years. So, I don't know. It came down to my own survival and then eventually my brother's when he was born to, try to understand how best to help this person. So, intrinsically, through that situation, I knew that by taking care of the people around me, that would mean a much more, better survival odds, I guess, is the way I put it in my head. But, I mean, not everyone's, I guess, a lot of people that have been through a situation like that don't make it out the same way, and I feel very grateful to have done so. I wish a lot of people were in touch with that heroism to have thoughts about other people and then just let it fly, Do the best that you can.
Lemoire, I'm curious. You asked about forgiveness, and then you told us a beautiful story about caring and support and the benefit that brings to everybody. How did you put those two ideas together?
Um, um, I guess that's a deeper part of it that I feel like in a lot of ways, I failed my mother, and that she just got sicker and sicker, you know? However, I'd rather not get too much further into that.
Mm-hmm. So I want to try and tie forgiveness back to the topic of tonight of pure consciousness. So I was saying in each moment we have the ability to be aware and to choose our state. And that can be great for, well, it is great for how you respond to everything. And the world is also filled with relationships, children to parents, acquaintances in the Sangha, close friends in community, work colleagues, study colleagues, people you walk past on the street. Every moment there's interactions. So how do we bring our awareness to make all of these relationships as beautiful as possible? Oh, you guys can't see me doing air quotes. I air quote because I know not everyone would love the word beautiful. Perhaps you want supportive or enlightening or fun or kind or positive relationships. So as we cultivate having this stillness and freedom in each moment, we can help many to have that. There are some people who may not be able to receive that. So we need to be prepared for how we will still care and love and be understanding. There are some people who will receive it very quickly. There are some people who will receive it much slower than we'd expect. How do we create a state of mind and an attitude towards others that is patient and loving and kind? The first thing that comes to mind when I think of forgiveness is that forgiveness implies expectations. Someone should have been doing something and they didn't, so I have to forgive them. I would rather approach the world understanding that people are the way they are because of the things that have happened to them, the situations. Each moment in your mind, who you are and what you do next, is because of all the states in your mind. It could also be environmental or genetic. Like, people are in their situation in life. And so if I come from a point of understanding, imagine if you look across all humans and instead of having any form of judgment, it was just complete, oh, everyone is just where they are, how they are. I am able to put some love and goodness out into the world. Hopefully more and more people are doing that. But really, everyone is just where they're at. And in that perspective, I don't even really see where forgiveness fits in. It's like there isn't even the need for forgiveness. It's just purely caring and helping.
I guess to frame it in that way, where some people go through experiences sometimes where it's hard for them to kind of get rid of that bias, you know, that's within them. So they just need to frame it in a way that works for them, I feel.
Totally.
But the conclusion would be the same. Definitely. I agree.
One difference or thought that I have is that people might not be able to change their bias, but then when they hear a different perspective enough times, then it gives them more tools to be able to see things in different ways. And in general, I've found that where there is judgment and forgiveness, it's harder than where there is understanding. So I would strongly encourage people to envisage a mindset that seeing reality as it is and seeing others as they are is like central to how you think of life and others.
I guess I too also see forgiveness as a definitely positive thing. Whereas a lot of times people just make mistakes, you know, and they're not cognizant of like the true effects and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas eventually maybe you find out that you hurt your friend's feelings, you know, saying something. And then, you know, you need self-forgiveness as well to kind of get through the day as well as, you know, forgiveness of others, I feel. That acceptance that we're not perfect. And sometimes things aren't fine, but overall things will be totally fine. As long as we forgive each other.
So I want to say it again, that if you've said something that upset somebody, especially if you didn't mean to, if you find out that it hurt them, I would hope that you'd be able to look within and have love and kindness and try to find how to be more aware or considerate, or how to understand that person more and what they need.
Yeah,
And I'd
it's
hope that
absolutely
that would
the
kick
joint
in
conclusion.
before there'd be a need to forgive yourself. Like, I'm trying to propose a different
I guess
approach.
unfortunately, like I'm saying still, it's in my brain programming personally. However, I feel that through the people that I've spoken with, friends, good friends, they feel the same way. That sometimes they weren't forgiven, you know, and then that was a life-changing event that should have just been, you know, a small behavioral instance, you know.
Mm. Ah, judgment is in many people's brain programs, totally. Um, and I hope you know that there are people here who will love and understand you to the point that they would never even need to forgive you because judgment didn't happen first. And I hope there's some part of you that also can envisage yourself getting to that point.
I
I
think it's too on behalf of the exhibitor of the forgiveness. Like, I guess, you know, there's exhibit A, us, and then exhibit B, you know, us, I guess the other person in this.
Mhm.
Whereas, it's on them too to kind of come to that realization. Whereas, I guess a lot of us are just trying to meet in the middle somewhere, you know, and figure it out like that. And I try to be respectful of that aspect of other people, that they're on their own path, that they're not at that conclusion yet. So I like to start, you know, and take stepping stones along the way that I know that would have really meant the world to, you know, somebody at some point in time, given that chance.
Mm. Hey, I'd like to respond to some of the things on the live chat before there's just too many to keep up with.
Absolutely.
So, Jiggle Sizzle has said that emptiness is looking at the world without divisions, without projections, or false creations of the mind. So, emptiness is seeing the world clearly. Don't project your thoughts onto things or create things there. Just see it as it is. Oh, and then he says that it is simply seeing the world as it is. In this state, there is no dual thinking. Positive, negative, friend, enemy, you, me. Consider what Advaita Vedanta means. Jiggle, do you want to translate that into things that most people would understand. Oh, and then Lemon Wire wrote, I think it's an amazing way to view your own awareness. It is a heroic act. Lovely. And yeah, Jiggle, I just see projections. Yeah, Lemon Wire is writing on YouTube, and Jiggle, you're writing on Twitch. We have people watching here on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So welcome, everybody. And anybody who's watching on the live stream, please come to the temple. It's so good to be able to talk in real time, to hang out in the grounds afterwards, to send each other smiley love hearts. Yeah, you're all welcome here. And to those of you who are here, I love having you here. I love that we have this community and this sense of being together. Wherever you are in the world, we still come together regularly. It really warms my heart. So I'd like to go back to what I said at the start of our session about learning to ride a bike and riding very slowly to take it easy. I'm not sure if everyone here rides a bike, but when you ride faster, the bike automatically self-balances more. Maybe it's to do with the angular momentum of the wheels. Maybe it's that you're going forward, and as you get off track, it automatically pulls you back on track. But going really slowly, it takes quite a lot of skill to learn to balance. And I wanted to use that metaphor to think of mindfulness practice throughout the day. Imagining a strong, powerful sense of mindfulness. Being in this state of presence more and more wonderfully, gaining momentum. I hope as you contemplate that, it inspires you to not only have intentional meditation sessions more regularly, but also to check in with your conscious mindfulness in many moments throughout the day, as close to constantly as possible. Lemon Wire mentioned before this, like, striving to always be mindful. And I just exaggerated the intense feeling you put in it. And I did that because I wanted to try and craft the opposite. What it would be like to be uplifted into mindfulness in every moment. What it would be like to be at rest in mindfulness each moment. The sense of ease. Solarpunk mentioned before the wise person only has to fear heedlessness. So if you think of like the hardship when your mind gets caught up in something, as opposed to just being present, being aware of, or being mindful to choose how you're going to be in each moment, that is the state of ease. Everything else is harder work.
In a way, but in a lot of ways too, we could frame it differently, you know. Whereas I feel like life gives us that kaleidoscope of tools to just kind of view a problem with all these different angles. I guess that's just sentience in general.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I feel like AI is also sentient in its own way, but we'll get to that. Um,
You know, I love what you just said, and I totally agree that we can frame things in so many ways. And I invite everybody to always try and find the frames that are most empowering. If you see yourself having a perspective and there's another perspective that would be more useful or more loving or easier, I encourage you to tend more towards the perspectives that are helpful. You may be in one tradition that may say things a certain way and be like really devout to saying it that way, but then you find another way
yeah.
that says something that's really easy, and I invite you to try them. Or it might not be anything to do with tradition. I'm just mentioning traditions because of the discussion of traditions in the live thread. But yeah, maybe you.
Sometimes you look at a question and then you pull back from it. Like, rather than what the question is, let's think about what the person needs. Like, what's the problem? Do they need love? Usually that's the answer. So, I mean, give them a smile, give them a hug. People that say that they're just all right, a lot of them are really hurting. Whereas, even just a smile, that choice in that one moment to that one stranger, that could mean their whole day. That could mean their whole year. And take it from somebody who has passed a number of homeless people and then just couldn't say no.
Hmm. You know, earlier when we were talking about forgiveness, and I was sharing that I've found understanding as the foundation was nicer, and then you were quite adamant that other people are on other journeys or you're in a different place, and I said, oh, I think I disagree, or I used some word like that, and then you mentioned something about if someone accidentally hurt somebody by what they said, and a part of me wondered if I had hurt you. So I want you to know, like, I really care about you, and I wish you love
Oh,
and happiness.
personally, that
Yeah.
hasn't happened yet. I
Okay, good.
wonder if it ever will.
Good. Yeah, all I'm trying to
You're
do
fine.
is be there and care for one another. And
Absolutely. I
yeah.
think that's why we're all kind of here, And it's great. I guess
Lemon wine, if I
excuse
may
my New
contribute
Yorker
to.
because it was coming out there. Hi.
I wanted to add to that on the thought of forgiveness or self-forgiveness. Something I found very useful in my mindfulness training is there are points in which I'm guilty about things in the past that I wish I could have done better for friends or this or that or whatever pet. And then I like to remind myself, I forgive and accept myself for being human. This is part of the human condition, and that is natural. This is the first noble truth. And and I have to be mindful while I'm saying this. I have to breathe mindfully, take that moment to breathe, and then say, I forgive and accept myself for being human, and that this is natural, and this is how things are. And then continue with the mindfulness practice that way, and then move from there to where Neo was going, with the just that state of understanding. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think especially framed in this instance that you're describing that you feel like you failed a friend one time and you were seeking forgiveness within yourself. I feel too that, you know, sometimes we're doomed to fail when given just like a specific outlook on something. Whereas, yeah, after time and mediation and effort trying to kind of unpack a situation, you start to understand more clearly, especially given like knowledge through a place like this, what exactly happened and whether that was even, true. Like maybe you didn't really need to feel forgiveness in that time and you could forgive yourself even further.
And that it's all natural. It's
That's
and
how you
learning
know
to
it's real
face adversity.
forgiveness, when it's like, you take a step back and deliberate at least a bit.
And even though I practice the Theravada tradition of Buddhism, I also greatly respect the Tibetan belief in the rainbow body, that there's this special state that you can't achieve until you've actually gone out into the world and faced adversity in the most skillful way possible. And if you don't go out into the world and deal with normal people and deal with frustrating things and handle that skillfully, you don't actually develop this sort of like Jedi master ability to eventually just like fade into ash or whatever upon your death, or release these rainbows or energy they can do on they've been captured using on film or video and such.
That
Or
sounds just like
other
New York, what you just described. Just like a chaotic energy, but I guess for an
Yes.
overall, good in a way. I don't know. It's a city of heroes, in my opinion.
Guys, I want to ask,
And when you think
Jigu, oh wait, sorry, if you're still on this topic.
I was about to mention sort of a fun curiosity regarding how the
We could
Buddha said
talk more
the
after the
advantage
session on this too.
Yes,
I would
after
love
the
to.
session we'll discuss that.
So Jiggle Sizzle on the chat said, they suggest don't get lost in the labyrinth of duality. There's no end to it. The only winning move is to stay out of the maze. So I'm not actually sure in what context you're talking about, or who
That sounds
you
like
think is
through
in
the background
duality.
of someone who's. Oh man, here we are speaking duality, which is funny and ironic. But I feel that perspective is through the context of someone who feels that after a certain point of mediation, duality might not service them at all, or at least they feel that way.
Yeah, I've never really related to this
So I would
term
consider
of
that
duality,
question in that frame.
so I'm not even sure what they mean.
Yeah, the definitions could be
Understood.
different between us.
I guess that's the meaning of duality in itself. What's going on with this conversation, where we're trying to figure out the meaning of duality in its duality.
So Jiggle
Through
Sizzle, if you're here and you
dual
want
mediums on dual screens.
they've said the thing that gives context, emptiness. There's only one, not two. Yeah, I know you said it, but I don't know what you're talking about. So I thought maybe you could try to explain it like we're 5-year-olds, with really clear definitions of the words you're using. Perhaps I said something that made you think I meant something else, because I was saying we can have a mind where we see everything as it is, and we're perfectly present with reality as it is. So I'm not sure where these other ideas came from.
Imagine if we all had duality of awareness, where
What does
we
that
could
mean?
focus on multiple things at a time. I guess that's what ADHD is, huh?
What is duality of awareness?
Multitasking.
Huh.
So Jiggle Sizzle, if you want me to engage with that, I think you need to try and use different words, because there we go. Even in relation to what I was saying, the way you're saying stuff is it's quite abstract to me, so that's why I'm asking you to give a concrete description of what you mean. I'd love to be able to engage with what you're saying, but yeah, generally in my life I've tried to practice being able to speak so that any person will understand. And when there are teachings or traditions where they start to use layers upon layers of words that are abstracted from normal understanding, I always try to then translate that back into actionable practices that I could explain to anybody. Welcome, Dawn Shadow.
Which apparently was also a technique of the Buddha. He also used what he, speaking in the layman's terms. He would know exactly who he was speaking to, and he would always simplify his language for who he was speaking to.
I mean, I think it's a skill that, whether you're talking about mindfulness and skillful living, or baking, or mathematics, or anything, trying to communicate in a way that the people you're speaking with can receive it best is a skill that everyone should be practicing. Communication is not just about saying what you think's right, it's about helping the people hear your meaning.
Also, a great achievement in this reality is when others can understand what you are saying.
Jiggle Sizzle responded, they don't think they said anything too out of understanding. Well, I didn't understand anything you said, so maybe something to reflect upon. So guys, I'm going to guide a meditation, and then we're going to move on into the
Yeah, I
social
find
part
the
of this morning
context of a
session.
Twitch chat to be more about like an engagement platform, where I guess there's also YouTube, similar thing. They're both
Perhaps I
doing the
should
same
have
thing.
the set it up so that the comments show up here, so I see them happening live. That would be better than me
Yeah,
having to
I guess
look
there's
back and
always a
forth.
better way to
Yeah.
look at it, huh?
Sorry
Yeah.
for those of you who I missed what you said. All right, so we're going to finish with a meditation. So I invite everybody to get comfortable. And as you settle into meditation, if you're new to meditation, you could just imagine your body being calm and relaxed, and your mind, your inner voice slowing down, and things becoming still. And if you're a regular meditator, I invite you to remember the most amazing meditations you've ever had. And as you remember how they felt, what your consciousness was like, the sensations in your body and mind, each breath you take, just gently moving into meditation. If you're new to meditation, I invite you to enjoy each breath. Try to focus on the breath and savor the breath. Feel each moment of the breath. Make it feel a little more relaxing, a little more peaceful, a little more enjoyable. Contemplate that you are practicing that every moment of your whole life you can infuse this peace, these positive feelings. Each moment that you just sit and rest in the enjoyable breath, you're training your consciousness to be present, easeful, and enjoyable. And there are many kinds of meditation. So going to try and take us deeper into a sense of stillness, to spend more time in the expansive, peaceful, present feeling. So I invite you to imagine a large lake. And if you've got a visual mind, you can see the blue sky, and you can see the trees around the edge of the lake, and you sense the breeze. If you're still practicing your visual mind, you can think about the patterns of the breeze and how that would interact with the surface of the water. And so as we all look across the surface of this lake, you can think of that as like the ripples in the mind, all the different thoughts and feelings that are happening. And I invite you to imagine the surface of the lake compared to all the water under the lake. And connect with that enormous stillness. Imagine it. Feel how big the stillness is. How big it is relative to the surface. Imagine being that whole lake of stillness. Conceptualize that perfect stillness. Become that massive, expansive stillness. Notice how your consciousness feels right now. And then imagine everything you just noticed becoming stillness. Every feeling, perfect peace. Your whole self deeper and deeper into stillness. And then notice your consciousness now. And imagine all of that becoming stillness. And I invite you to say to yourself, I am mindful awareness. I choose what to put my attention on, and I respond amazingly to any external stimuli. My awareness, this vast mindful presence, is bigger, more powerful, easier, and more inviting than any old thoughts or feelings or frames. And for the last part of the meditation, just for another minute, notice your consciousness. Rededicate your attention. Give yourself a gift of bliss or practice being strong. Just one more minute, fully diving into cultivating awareness. And then remember this meditation. How you guided yourself in. What it felt like and how you could cultivate even better states in the future. Any moments you practiced guiding your attention. How you did it consciously, or perhaps something I said that effortlessly guided your attention or your consciousness. Learning how to master your own consciousness. And as you're bringing your consciousness from the meditative state back into the temple, back into your day, perhaps you can remember any insights you had or shifts of perspective. Perhaps you could remember any nice feelings or experiences that you'd like to share. And you can finish the meditation how you'd like. Could be a stretch, could be gently just sitting and waiting for the moment to open the eyes. Maybe you want to do a happy dance. Just bringing yourself from the meditation into your life, however you choose. So if anyone has anything they'd like to share, or maybe you're just feeling really good, you want to make a happy sound, or share a thought, or a moment, or ask a question, please. Well, I hope everyone's feeling really tranquil from the meditation and can imagine any moment, every moment, having this inner peace. Think of it like a foundation. On top of it, you could choose to be powerful and energetic. You could choose to be hilarious. You could choose compassion. But think of it as like a platform of freedom, where everything that you do on top of this consciousness is things that you choose. No external stimuli or old thoughts or feelings or frames gets a platform on this foundation. Only the things you choose. And even old thoughts or feelings, as you bring them into this platform, you don't just have to bring them as they are. You can always see them and make them more beautiful, more empowering, more strong. So I invite you just to think to yourself again, I am mindful consciousness. So we're going to finish with our dedication. May we dedicate this time to a world where everyone is mindful consciousness, where everyone lives guided by kindness and compassion, where everyone supports one another with perfect understanding. And as we imagine the world as, some may say, as it's meant to be, as our heart and mind is there, then we live as we are meant to be. May we keep ourselves in mindfulness, in kindness, in all positive states, lovingly, effortlessly, vibrantly. May we see the enlightened being in everyone. May our interactions bring out our enlightened being and bring the enlightened being out of everyone.
Yeah, that was great. Holy crap.
Hey, we're still in the live stream, guys. Oh, we can't move the camera for some reason. Well, everyone, let me just go say goodbye to them. Thanks for joining us. Maybe we'll see you later this evening. Hopefully we'll see you next week. Wishing you all love, mindfulness, positivity. It's a pleasure to have you all. May your practices and your state of mind be more amazing than you thought was possible.
Maybe we should spy on them through the windows.
And I'll see you soon.